Merci beaucoup pour m'avoir octroyé l'honneur de vous adresser aujourd'hui au Cercle des Canadiens. Je suis très heureux de me trouver parmi vous et de se joindre à une liste, mais avant aujourd'hui, d'invités assez impressionnants qui incluent Winston Churchill, par exemple. Je veux juste prendre l'opportunité aujourd'hui, en quelques minutes, de me prononcer sur certains sujets reliés à l'environnement d'affaires chez nous. And it leads me to believe that the two solitudes that we talk about so much in Quebec, it exists as long as we say that it exists. And I think that it's time that we have to make it untrue. We have buried ourselves in 40 years of a language war that is hurting us in business. I believe that René Lévesque was absolutely right in 1976. The English culture was dominant, the English language was dominant, and he was right to claim back that French language and that French culture and that French dominance in Quebec. However, at some point, I think that we need to recalibrate. I think we need to look in the mirror. The resistance by members of my own Jewish and Anglo communities to learn, live, and speak French is short-sighted and embarrassing. We are poorer for not knowing Martin Matte or Robert Charlebois. The failure on the French side to see the global and cultural benefits for their children to speak at least 2 languages, including the world's working business and internet language, is paralyzing the potential of generations of French Canadians. This province has been governed almost exactly in equal time by the PQ and the Liberals since 1976, and as such, we have at least 2 fingers to point at our collective weaknesses. And what you might ask are those weaknesses? If you take away Nunavut, the Yukon and the Northwest Territories, we have the highest dropout rate in Canada. The plan is to put politics aside, maintain culture, and set ourselves up for success. I have 3 key initiatives to bring before you today. The first is, we need to teach the concept of money, finance, stock trading, mortgage financing, credit, and entrepreneurship in elementary school and in high school. Instead of knowing what causes volcanoes, you will graduate knowing how to navigate the very real world, which gladly has very few active volcanoes in it. Put a hydro bill in front of your children, put a check in front of your children, put a credit card bill in front of your children, and see how little they know that they will need to know in the real world, and we don't teach it in school. Number 2, we need to celebrate our business and philanthropic heroes. If it's culturally important for our kids to know Carey Price's statistics, well, let them also know Alain Bouchard's. Alain Bouchard's Les Aliments Couche-Tard, founded by him from less than nothing, will do $50 billion in revenue next year. How many companies in Canada do you think do $50 billion in revenue? The answer is none. Aliments Couche-Tard by revenue will become the largest company in Canada. Not Thomson Reuters, not Weston, not RBC. It will be Couche-Tard. Rogers does $13 billion, Bell $21 billion, and combined they're $16 billion short of Couche-Tard. Alain Bouchard is arguably as good or better at what he does than Carey Price is at what he does, and Carey Price is very, very good at what he does. Couche-Tard is bigger by revenue than Cisco, Pfizer, FedEx, and Coca-Cola. And how often do you think that this story is told amongst ourselves and to our kids? I think it's not told enough. And now add the Alain and Sandra Bouchard Foundation, giving millions of dollars to Saint-Justin, the Neuro, the Musée des Beaux-Arts, and we don't celebrate him. They celebrate Donald Trump and they celebrate Kim Kardashian, but we do not celebrate our true accomplishments because we are not supposed to talk about money. Serge Gaudin, $10 billion of revenue, 65,000 employees. Eric Boyko, a business that didn't exist in 2006, doing $30 million of revenue this year. And what about the current generation of our great families? The Saputo family, $5 billion of revenue in 2008, $11 billion of revenue this year. Power Corporation, $38 billion in revenue. And both the Saputos and the Desmarais giving tens of millions of dollars to charity each year, and we don't celebrate them. Do we talk about the Chagnon and Azrieli foundations, each with over $1 billion in them? We don't. The Bronfmans carried the city on their backs before anyone else could spell philanthropy. And next month, both Charles and Alain Bouchard's books will come out, and both should be required reading in Quebec. Which brings me to my third point. The politicization of business and businesses. by our politicians. If we are going to teach our kids 2 languages, with French as the predominant language, and we are going to work to keep them in school and teach them practical financial skills and prepare them for the global economy, then we need to also speak out when our politicians politicize our businesses. When Rona Hardware sold, and when Saint-Hubert sold, and when Cirque du Soleil sold, I was among the lone business voices opposing the rhetoric of PKP and François Legault, a friend of mine, and others who spoke nonsensically about how these businesses should have and could have and would have been bought by a Quebec buyer. The Rona Hardware story itself is enough to discourage people from building businesses in Quebec, and we shouldn't tolerate it. We are the business leaders. We build, we buy, and we sell. And the fact of the matter is, Quebec companies are currently buying at a rate of 3-to-1 versus what we are selling. Couche-Tard, Saputo, CGI are where they are today because they have done tens of billions of dollars of acquisitions, and they count. So to conclude on this note, if you'll allow me, please, we need to promote an agenda which seeks to put Quebec in the top third of Canadian provinces in terms of graduation rates, which seeks to teach our children about business and about the business builders who are our homegrown heroes, and about philanthropy and the obligation to give back in time and/or money. An agenda which prepares young people to compete on a global stage and to be proud to be Québécois, and which challenges our politicians when they attack free market economics only for their own political gain and for no other purpose. Ensemble, je pense qu'on deviendra la société la plus cultivée, le plus habile à mettre en œuvre les conditions gagnantes pour mieux éduquer et mieux préparer nos jeunes. Et finalement, comme homme d'affaires et comme femme d'affaires, qu'on encourage comme principe de base qu'à la table de souper, que oui, on discute Piquet-Souban, mais qu'on discute également messieurs Bombardier, Gaudin, Bouchard, Saputo, Desmarais, Bronfman, Taillefer, Lotfi, Marcoux, et qu'on les fête. Mesdames et messieurs, je vous remercie encore pour cette opportunité inoubliable pour moi, j'espère pas trop plate pour vous. Et avec ça, je vous remercie infiniment. Merci.